Okay, so here's what you're going to do for your lab. Okay, so you're going to get a family member, mom, dad, brother, sister, cousin, whoever lives with you in the house. And you're going to perform a few motions, okay? And basically you're going to stretch your particular partner in the house. So first thing you're gonna do is you're going to create flexion of the hip and extension of the knee, and you're gonna stretch them slowly until they feel slightly uncomfortable. You're gonna stretch them with their knee and extension and hip and flexion for 30 seconds. So here's how it will work. When you're stretching them, you're going to stretch them, and how it's going to work is you're going to say, okay, let's say mom's name is Mary. Okay, mom, which is Mary. Okay, mom, let me know when to stop bringing your leg up. Mom might say right there. That's fine. 30 seconds you're going to hold. Bring it down after 30 seconds. Then you're going to stretch the hamstring in with the hip inflection and the knee inflection. So it's going to be like so. Okay, again, you're going to tell mom, let me know when to stop bending your hip, and you're going to hold the hip inflection and the knee inflection for 30 seconds. What you're going to do next is you're going to identify which muscle is in the anterior position. So you're going to identify the quadricep. This is the quadricep. The insertion is the the origin is of the rectus femoris. We're only going to focus on the rectus femoris for this particular lab. The origin is the anterior inferior iliac spine. The insertion is the tibial tuberosity. Then what you're going to do is you're going to identify all three other muscles: vastus lateralis, vastus medialis, vastus intermedius, and you're going to identify their insertion point as a tibial tuberosity. I'm not going to test you on any of the origins of the vastus lateralis, vastus medialis, vastus intermedius. I'm only going to test you on the origin of the rectus femoris. So just make sure you know anterior inferior iliac spine is the rectus femoris origin. Identify the muscles, so identify the origin of the rectus femoris, identify the rectus femoris. Just understand that the rectus femoris is the middle muscle of the anterior thigh. Identify the vastus medialis and the vastus lateralis. Just point to it. Vastus medialis on the medial side, vastus lateralis. Articulate it to your partner. Insertion point tibialis. Insertion point tibial tuberosity. Okay, so that is the quadricep muscle. Then what you're going to do is you're going to identify the origin of the hamstring. So the origin is the ischial tuberosity. The insertion, go through all three muscles, all the insertions. So the insertion of the biceps femoris, there's the biceps femoris, long head, biceps femoris, short head. The insertion, lateral portion of the tibia and fibula. Then you're going to transition to the semitendinosus to semimembranosus. So semitendinosus, origin, ischial tuberosity. Insertion, semitendinosus is pes anserine, which is the medial surface of the tibia, which is on this side. Can't see because my finger's there, but you're going to point to that area, which is on the opposite side. And then the semimembranosus is the medial surface of the tibia, which is the insertion, and the origin is the ischial tuberosity. So the medial surface of the tibia is obviously going to be right here. Okay, so you're going to stretch the hamstring and identify the origins and the insertions of those muscles. Then what you're going to do is you're going to, so before I flip the skeleton around, let me show you how to stretch that muscle. So you're going to put your hand here. Let me go low. You're going to put your hand here on the back of the ankle. See if I can squeeze it. So the back of the ankle. All right. And then you're going to put your other hand, okay, on the front of the knee. Back of the ankle, front of the knee. And then what you're going to do is you're going to stretch the leg up into this position. Now, the leg's going to be much heavier than a skeleton bone, right? Or bones on the skeleton. So you may have to obviously use some of your strength, hand here on the back of the ankle with your elbow flexed. And so this is the right hand on the right leg. This is the left hand on the front of the left knee. And you're going to end up stretching like so. Now, what will happen is when you get to this point, the knee might bend a little bit. Okay, that's okay. Just go as far as what's comfortable for them. If it's too difficult, they might just get to this much, right? So this, let's see if we can go back a little bit. So they might get to about here, and that's it. No more. The hamstrings cannot. They're not flexible enough to stretch beyond this position. That's okay. Just keep them here. Right hand on the back of the ankle, left hand on the front of the knee, and then what you're going to do is you're just going to hold it there for 30 seconds. Okay, so that's fine. Then, regardless if they can get here or here, you're going to go, next step is going to be flexion of the hip and flexion of the knee. And you're going to stretch them here. One hand on the knee, other hand on the bottom of the foot. 30 seconds. And so that's what you're going to do for stretching of the hamstring. Again, as I mentioned before, identify the origin of the rectus femoris. Here's a rectus femoris muscle here, if you remember from the video. The insertion point is here. Tibial tuberosity. So quadriceps, this is how it's going to work. Quadricep, or rectus femoris, origin, ischial tuberosity. Insertion, tibial tuberosity. Rectus femoris, point to it. Then the vastus lateralis is going to be here on the outside, the lateral side. Point to it. Identify it, vastus lateralis. Point to the vastus medialis. Identify it, vastus medialis. Then you're done with the quadricep group. Hamstring, same thing. Okay. Ischial tuberosity, origin. So when you're stretching, even, well, actually, you're not going to do it when you're stretching, but you're going to stretch them like this, like so. And then what you'll do is you'll just make sure that, so let's do this. So let me take you through it. So what you're going to do first, let me just take a step back. So first things first, before you stretch, first thing, origin, rectus femoris, anterior inferior iliac spine. Insertion, tibial tuberosity. Rectus femoris, middle. Vastus lateralis, lateral. Vastus medialis, medial. Then you're going to stretch, right? So then you're going to take it up as hard as it can go. It might be here. It might be there, 30 seconds. Then you're going to come down, bring it up, hip flexion, knee flexion, 30 seconds. All right. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go again. You're going to bring it up again. So this is to help you identify the muscles of the hamstring. Ischial tuberosity, insertion, lateral tibia, and fibula for the biceps femoris, long head. Biceps femoris, short head. Femur, insertion, lateral tibia, and fibula. That's the ischial tuberosity, or the biceps femoris. Then you're going to go and you're going to do the semitendinosus, semimembranosus. Semitendinosus, semimembranosus, ischial tuberosity, point to it. Medial surface of the tibia for the biceps, for the semitendinosus, which is a pes anserine. Semimembranosus, medial condyle. Okay, medial condyle. So then you're done with identifying the hamstring. Then what you're going to do, okay, is you're going to have your partner flip around on their stomach. Okay, just like so. Now what you're going to do is you're going to stretched. Let me go on this side. So you're going to flip around. And you're going to stretch the quadricep. So again, you're going to have to be on this side if this is the right leg I'm stretching. So you're going to have to be on the same side as the leg you're stretching. So here's how you're going to do it. You're going to extend the hip. Okay, you're going to extend the hip. No, sorry. You're going to flex the knee only. Flex the knee as far as they can go. Some individuals may end up being able to get the knee all the way to their butt or their gluteal area, which they have very good quadricep flexibility. Some individuals will only be able to get to about here, which is okay too. Some individuals will only be able to get to about here, and some even less. So here's a couple scenarios. Let's just say your partner gets to about here. Okay, so now you're going to hold it for 30 seconds. Bring it down. Let's just say, so that's there, 30 seconds. Bring it down. Let's say that they can get further. So here. So that's still okay. 30 seconds of a stretch for a knee flexion for the quadricep is fine. You don't have to do anything with their hip because basically the stretch is the angle of the knee is still going to be able to allow the quadricep to stretch. But what about if they get to this point? So if they get to this point, they will not feel any stretch in their quadricep. They won't feel much. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to take your left hand, bring it underneath their left knee, and then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to use your left hand and your right hand to extend the hip, and then you're going to be able to effectively get a good stretch for them, or effectively move their hip or their knee in a position to where they can you can have a stretch that's satisfactory, a good enough stretch where they'll begin to feel it in the front of their quads. So it may be that you end up getting to this point, and then they say, okay, that's enough, and then you could perform a little bit more knee flexion, and then see the heel is not to their glute here, right? It's approximates about to there, and that's all they can get. That's all as far as they can go. So if that's the case, you're going to hold it for 30 seconds. It might be that they get a little bit further, right? And then we get to about there with the heel to their glute, and they feel a good stretch there. So this is about 30 seconds worth of stretching. So again, just to repeat myself and as a real quick summary, you're going to flip them over, stretch their quad on their stomach. Someone with very poor quad flexibility, you're going to use your hand on their heel, your left hand on the front of their tibia, and you're going to stretch them for 30 seconds. And this is how it's going to look. Let me know when you want me to stop bending your knee. Oh, and then they say, okay, that's good. 30 seconds, bring it down. Next one. Let's just say they have very good quad flexibility. They can get to here. That's not going to effectively stretch their quads. So we have to get our left hand and our left hand helps lift the quad up. And then we can flex the knee. And that might be all as far as they can go, which is fine. So you're going to hold that for 30 seconds. So it's either this one or it's this one. Now, one last way to stretch the quadricep is we put them on. So this would be as if the third option would be as if this did not do anything for them. They still extend the hip and they still get their heel to their buttock. Well, we need something else, right? So that would be where we lay them on their side. We lay them on their side. Then we would begin to extend the hip and the knee. But how it would look, let's see if I can make this happen in the right way, is what you would do is you'd put your body in between the table that you're on or wherever they're at, table, even the floor is fine. You put your body and what you would do, or a couch, or a bed, whatever it might be, and you put your body in between, your body basically, or your hip basically begins to start to flex, extend the hip and flex the knee. Okay, so basically what you're doing is you're performing this motion and that motion, but you're doing it sideline. So the extension of the hip, see if we can get it this way. The extension of the hip is going and is moving this way, and the flexion of the knee as well. But you're using your body to make the motion occur, because a lot of times just a trainer or a doctor or whatever's hands and arms are not strong enough to allow for full extension and full knee flexion. Okay, so one of three options you can perform. Sideline, again, if prone is not getting it, or most of the time prone is good enough. So prone here, extension of the hip, that's a good enough stretch, or just in this position for 30 seconds. All right, then what you're going to do after that is when they're laying on their stomach, you're going to then identify the hamstring. Hamstring, ischial tuberosity, origin, go through the muscles. Origin is ischial tuberosity is the origin for all three hamstring muscles: semitendinosus, semimembranosus, and biceps femoris. And then the insertion point, go through the insertion points. Go through the insertion points. The insertion points, hamstring, track it through. The origin, let me just turn this over just a little bit for you. Okay, so with them laying on their stomach, the origin, ischial tuberosity, remember this is the lateral muscle. So lateral, or the biceps femoris on the lateral side. Long head biceps femoris, insertion, go through the insertion. Long head or short head biceps femoris, insertion, go through insertion on that as well. And then do your semitendinosus and semimembranosus. Semitendinosus and semimembranosus, still ischial tuberosity. Semitendinosus is medial surface of the tibia, pes anserine. Semimembranosus is medial condyle. So then you're going to go through the origins and insertions of the particular hamstring as well. And then go through the actions, right? Go through the actions. So what does the quadricep or the hamstring do? Hamstring extends the hip. It also flexes the knee. All right, I think something I forgot to mention earlier is go through the motions of the quadricep as well. So again, one more time, we extend flexion of the hip, extension of the hip, flexion of the knee, right? That is the action of the hamstring. You could even take it a step further and ask your partner to extend their hip and flex their knee. So partner, extend their hip and flex their knee. Then they would extend the hip and flex the knee. And you can see them do that. Real quick, let me flip it back over again. The quadricep, go through the actions also of the quadricep. Okay, flexion of the hip, extension of the knee. Now some people won't be able to flex the hip and extend the knee. So again, flexion of the hip, extension of the knee. That's the quadricep movement. Then you can ask them to do it on their own as well, or actively. Can you please actively flex the hip and extend the knee? So they're going to actively flex the hip on their own without you doing it, and they're going to actively extend the knee. You could also have them just extend the knee. Can you please extend the knee? Okay, and then they'll actively extend the knee. So I'll create a assignment for you, indicating to you every step that you need to do so that it's so you can memorize, or so it's identifiable for you to know what to do. But this, obviously, a video demonstration will help you go through the lab on your own. The assignment will be due on within a couple of days. Thank you very much. This again is the end of my video demonstration on how to perform a lab with identifying muscles, origins, insertions, and actions of the quadricep and the hamstring, which are both on the anterior and posterior thigh. Thank you.